Okay guys, I'm gonna be completely honest. I was not wanting to make this video. No, I was not planning on it. I was gonna wait until tomorrow where we are bringing on Michael. I am sure that the majority of y'all have gotten to see a few videos from this channel that featured Michael, and he knows a lot more than I do. I am very excited to release a new set of videos with him. That way he can get down to the very small details. He can go into the complex baseball strategy, players to target, players to avoid, and everything that I simply can't. But the video yesterday where I went through and I did some very basic hitters to avoid, guys that I think that we are possibly overvaluing the small sample in 2020 compared to their larger career samples and their 2019 seasons. Now, I think we have to do the same thing with pitchers here, just because y'all absolutely destroyed the last video, leaving so many likes, dropping a few comments at the same time. And that's the number one way you can tell me that you want another video of that same topic, is just by going down there to the comment section and telling me directly, or simply just dropping a like on the video, subscribing to the channel. We know that makes a massive difference. But anyway, in this video, like I said, we are going to be talking about some overvalued pitchers that I'm looking to avoid in fantasy baseball drafts this season. But if you did not have the chance to go through and watch yesterday's video, let me give it to you. Let me tell you exactly how I came up with this list. And essentially, we understand that the 2020 baseball season was unbelievably weird. I mean, it was the asterisk season, if you ever would assume so. I mean, I think people kind of cursed the season to never be legitimate by just nonstop talking about the Houston Astros during the offseason and how their World Series has an asterisk next to it. Well, they were just setting us up for having one of the weirdest baseball seasons that we have ever seen. So if you were looking at the larger sample sizes of pitchers that were closing in on 200 innings pitched back in 2019, 2018, where we have a decent idea of who those pitchers are. We have a decent idea of what we are going to be expecting with their whip, how many strikeouts we should be seeing, as well as their ERA. Well, in 2020, when you cut that sample size in half, when you cut it into a third in some of these cases, I mean, that number is really not representative of what we should be expecting in 2021. When you look at a sample size that is that small, I think we need to be heavily discounting it. And these three pitchers, maybe we go through four, we'll see how much time we have. But I think that we are currently valuing their 2020 small sample size season a little too much, and we need to be avoiding them because their 2021 projections are definitely not going to live up to what they gave you last season. All right, well, that's it. That's enough of the background behind the video. Let's just dive into these pitchers. And the first guy that we are going to talk about is someone that has had an insane career, and this is going to be Yu Darvish. And surprisingly, Darvish is already 34 years old, so that's automatically going to be a red flag on his profile when we already know that pitchers have one of the highest injury rates in the entire league. Then you're going to add on the fact that Yu Darvish is 34 years old. We don't necessarily know how the arm strength is going to be. We don't necessarily know what the velocity will be from Darvish as he continues to age kind of way further than his prime. But on top of the age, if we go through and we look at what he was doing in 2020, it was absurd. I think that a lot of people are pushing Yu Darvish up the board because of this 2020 season, where he looked fantastic. I mean, his whip was under 1. It was sitting at 0.96. And just in case we have some very, very beginning fantasy baseball players, if you don't know what whip is, simply it's walks and hits per inning. So Yu Darvish was averaging less than 1 combined walk and hit per inning in 2020. Now, if we compare this to 2019, the season prior, while yes, this number is still impressive from Yu Darvish, it's definitely a lot higher than it was last season, where he's sitting a little bit over 1.1 walks and hits per inning, which is fine. I mean, that is a great number if he was able to replicate it. But we have to acknowledge a few things here. We have to acknowledge the fact that 2019, Yu Darvish was 32 years old in his prime, not 34. On top of that, Yu Darvish now is going in a ridiculously high range. I know that I've been coming out and I've been saying a lot of those players in the late second round, I really don't love their value. I really don't love taking someone even like a Bryce Harper in this range. But Yu Darvish is falling himself into that dead zone where right now he has an ADP of 17. He's going as the 5th pitcher off the board. And I'll say that while yes, for a traditional roto league, a traditional category league, I hate this evaluation. The one case where I think we can say that I'm fine taking Yu Darvish is if you're playing in a league that's going to be more than 12 teams, if you're playing in a league where those inning pitched and those stud aces are going to be so hard to come by. On top of that, if you're playing in a points league, I actually like Darvish a little bit more because Darvish, the one thing that he has is a ridiculous strikeout rate. I mean, in 2020, so the small sample, keep that in mind, he had about a 1.22 strikeout per inning. But if we go back to the larger sample, if we go to 2019 where he had over 170 innings pitched, there we still see this number sky high. It's actually even a little bit higher, sitting about 1.3 strikeouts per inning. So if you're playing in those points leagues where you are just kind of prioritizing strikeouts for your pitchers, I think, yeah, Yu Darvish can be someone we look at. But going and looking at his age, looking at the fact that in 2019 he had a close to a 4 ERA, I think we go, you know what? This is not a pitcher that I feel comfortable taking in the mid-second round. This is somewhere that I would rather see at the late second, possibly early third. But obviously, it's going to be league dependent. All right, so now let's go to our next player. Also on a fantastic team, going from the Padres to now the Dodgers. Let's talk about Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw, I know, has been at the very top of Major League Baseball for a long time now. He gets all the discussion because he's pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And he is currently going in the 3rd round as the 12th pitcher off the board. And his 2020 season was pretty much one of the best seasons he's had his entire career. Now, obviously, it's because it was an extremely small sample size. It was because it was a very weird season. So I know a lot of people are going to come out here and go, Mason, it's Clayton Kershaw. Why are you overthinking this? But like we were just talking about, for these pitchers, the injury rates are going to be higher. For Kershaw, that is no exception, obviously. And if we are comparing 2020, where he pitched about 50 innings, those numbers are not going to be representative of what we should be expecting going forward. Where, yeah, I understand. I mean, he was way below the average whip you would expect from a pitcher in this range, where he was at 0.84 walks and hits per inning. And then we go to his ERA, 2.16 in 2020. These are elite numbers. There's no escaping that. But it's out of 50-something innings. And when that is the case, we have to be putting a massive discount on it, where if we go to 2019, well, yeah, these numbers still pretty dang good. I mean, he's hovering around a 3.0 ERA. He's a little bit over a 1.0 whip. So those numbers are respectable. With Clayton Kershaw, you're not going to be expecting the same amount of strikeouts per inning that you would with a Yu Darvish. So I think Kershaw may be a little bit of a different situation, where if you're playing in a points league, if you're playing in a league where we really want to prioritize getting strikeouts from our starting pitcher, that is where I think we avoid Clayton Kershaw. Now, if you're playing in a roto league, a category league, then I think you can go with Kershaw in the 3rd and not necessarily kill your team. You just have to understand that it's going to be a little bit harder to predict exactly what you're going to have with the increased injury rate. All right, so now let's go down to the 4th round, someone that we've talked about before, and here I'm kind of second guessing myself. Please let me know what y'all think. This is the one pitcher that I'm not 100% confident in saying that we need to be avoiding him in any format, and this is Blake Snell. Okay, so obviously Blake Snell is playing on a stud team. He is playing on the Padres. Right now, he's going in the 4th round as the 15th pitcher off the board, and I will say the 2019 numbers are not good for Blake Snell. If we go to his 2019 numbers, really not a massive sample size where we're barely getting over 100 innings pitched, but over those 100 innings, I mean, it was not great. About a 4.3 ERA and a 1.3 whip. Now, those are numbers that you're really not getting too excited about, and we have not really seen Blake Snell come out here and close in on 200 innings pitched prior. So that's another thing that we have to keep in the back of our minds. That's another thing that we have to monitor as we are drafting Blake Snell. So I don't know if I am just overthinking this. I don't know if I am just trying to be a little bit too contrarian here. Now, let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Let me know why I am wrong with any of these players, if I sound stupid. Let me know. I want to hear your opinion. You probably know more than I do. Your opinion is probably worth more than mine is. So please let me know in the comment section. All right, now, really, that's all I got for y'all. I'm very excited to bring Michael on tomorrow, and we'll start uploading those videos tomorrow where we can dive in a little bit deeper. We can go through and talk about deeper guys in fantasy drafts that we are going to be targeting, that we are going to be avoiding, and overall draft strategy. So as always, if you have not already, go down there, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, drop a like. Y'all know what to do. And yeah, have a great day, guys.